So you don't like the Rippaverse. Maybe you think the books suck. That's fine. We're not entitled to your money or support. Maybe you picked up Ice number 1 out of curiosity but didn't vibe with it. Maybe you gave Ice number 2 a shot and decided to check out. That's fair. That said, we've released a lot of books since then. Maybe you thought my writing was fine, but the artwork wasn't your thing. Even though we had an industry pro like Cliff Richards who's worked on Wonder Woman and Shazam. Maybe it wasn't the art at all. Maybe the genre just didn't click with you. Well, there's other books out there that I wrote. I wrote a detective noir story called Salvage PI and Rippaverse issue number 1, illustrated by Bart Sears, a legend who's worked on Justice League Europe, Exo Manowar, and Legends of the Dark Knight. Then in Rippaverse number 2, I wrote Saoirse, another private investigator story, but with a more modern femme fatale feel. And that's illustrated by the great Kanan White. These are completely different styles, different tones, different vibes, but maybe you just don't like me as a writer. That's cool. Maybe you prefer a seasoned veteran writer leading the charge. That's why we brought in Chuck Dixon, co-creator of Bane, one of the most respected writers in the industry, known for Batman, The Punisher, and Nightwing. He teamed up with Joe Bennett, who's worked on Immortal Hulk, Deathstroke, and Captain America, to create Alpha Corps number 1. That features a superhero cop team operating under Flores Park's law enforcement. But let's say you don't care for Alpha Corps, maybe because I created them. Then there's the Horsemen Welcome to Flores Park, which is a gritty street-level vigilante story, and that's written by Chuck Dixon and illustrated by Joe Bennett. But that's their creation. Or maybe you want something more grounded, no powers, just sheer intelligence. That's where Gooding the Polymath comes in, and that's written by Mike Barron, the creator of Nexus and The Badger, and illustrated by Will Conrad, whose work includes Justice League, Wolverine, and Black Panther. Gooding is a technological genius, proving that you don't need superpowers to make an impact. Or maybe you're looking for something with a different creative voice. That's where Jen and Sylvia Saska come in. They're filmmakers and comic writers, and they wrote Black Widow, No Restraints Play. They're handling Yaira, our most popular female character, but maybe superheroes aren't your thing, so you're looking for something else, like Bloodruth number 1, a full-blown horror story. Again, from the Saska sisters, and they specialize in that. It follows the Blood Witch, Sydney Bloodruth. Maybe you want something, though, a little more out there, a sci-fi, ragtag, crew adventure. That's where Dirty Deeds in Rippaverse issue number 3 comes in, and that's written by longtime author Carol Brown. And that's just what's out right now. Across multiple creative teams, the Rippaverse has already put out more than a dozen books across several different titles, over 1,000 pages covering a wide range of genres and storytelling styles. The Great War of Separation, that lays down foundation for major events in the Rippaverse, giving readers a deeper look into the world building and lore if you're a nerd for that. And we're taking things cosmic with Zaylin, our first major spacefaring saga that will open up even more storytelling possibilities. And if none of that interests you, that's fine too. Maybe you're looking for something all ages. Grab Achromatic Chronicles by J. David. Maybe you want a Japanese-inspired series. Check out Gabriel and the Guardians by Colossul Studios, which features an all-star voice cast with Johnny Young Bosch, Christina V, Matt Lanter, and James Arnold Taylor. Both Achromatic Chronicles and Gabriel and the Guardians are published by Rippaverse. Or maybe you just don't like me and want nothing with what I'm involved in. That's cool too. There are plenty of other indie publishers and creators putting in the work. Iconic Comics has a growing catalog, including Common America by Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, a superhero series with this manga-inspired style that absolutely exploded in Japan, which is a major accomplishment. There's also Soul Finder by Doug Ernst, which is this like supernatural kind of thriller about a secret order of exorcists battling demonic forces. You got Arcathena by Eric Canetti, a sci-fi superhero series. And that's not it. You can go check out the other iconic titles as well, and I'm sure you'll love it. Then there's Irene Strychalski. She's an indie powerhouse known for Fiendish, a dark fantasy adventure that's blending in this manga, classical fantasy, and Lovecraftian horror. If you're an aspiring creator, she's someone that you got to be following. She's shared a lot about the creative process. You got Pat Shan at Space Between Entertainment. They're producing and making waves. They consistently deliver. Mark Miller has continued expanding his Dark Horse properties, and Vaughn Coleman is already on his second issue of Phenomenova, and that's a young creator that's making his mark in that superhero sort of storytelling realm. Former ISOM colorist Gabriel, he's killing it with Big Man Comics. Phil Diaz is still doing his thing with Zay Comics. So if you don't like the Rippaverse, that's fine. But there's no shortage of indie creators actually putting in the work. We aren't the only gig in town, and we're not in anybody's way. The fixed pie is a fallacy. So go holla at those creators.